to the MMA Fan Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Stu and Blake.
Hello and welcome to the MMA Fan Show. I'm Stu Whiffin. Joining me as ever is Mr. Blake Harrison. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, mate. I'm good. I'm great. I'm quite glad that we've got to. It's been less than 24 hours, and I'm seeing your face again. I'm very happy. We're just so thankful and grateful to the community of MMA fans or the MMA Fan Show fans that they sent us all these questions. So we've had to do 2 episodes just to get through as many as possible. But before we get on to those, we should thank another person, and that would be Fat Candy.
Exactly, mate, exactly. Got some exciting news coming your way in regards to Fat Candy and sponsors. But in the meantime, head over to Fat Candy, get yourself some freeze-dried sweets, all your childhood faves. Get yourself the Pick a Mix bag and you get, you literally get what it says on the bag, a mixture of all of your favourite Pick a Mix. And it's freeze-dried, so it explodes into this bizarre cloud of sugary greatness, and it's all there to be enjoyed with a discount code, which is, Mr. Harrison? Sweet MMA. That's SWEETMMA. There you go. Right, so as Blake said, we are going to be finishing off all of the lovely, generous questions that you sent in today. If your questions on this episode, just take note, your questions weren't good enough for the first one, but we'll squeeze them in on the second one. So when we do another one of
weren't
these,
good enough, or just came a little bit later on the comments, so we didn't get around to them.
I'm joshing, of course. Thank you ever so much.
This is not high tech. We're like screen grabbing Instagram pages of comments. I think, well, let's just try and get through as many of these as possible. It's not high tech.
How bad we are with tech, as how you sent over what questions to do to me yesterday. It was like 2 cavemen.
I've made a list of the questions we're answering. We both have screen grabs of them, and I've just gone, okay, so it's Headstrong PT UK, Rossi LDN.
In a voice note.
In a voice note. And so I'm just listing them all in a voice note, and Stu then has to go away. Probably listen to that voice note about 5 times. They're in a sort of order. They're sort of lined up with the screen grabs. Yeah, it is like 2 Amish cavemen that don't know what they're doing with technology trying to make this work. But let's start with Headstrong PT UK, who said they're a big fan of the show. Thank you very much, mate. What is the fight you are picking to win your friend or family member over to become an MMA fan? Mine is Hendo v Shogun 1. So what's yours, Whiffin, if you're trying to convert someone to be an MMA fan?
I think I will go for... look, we've spoke about Rory Robbie and we've spoke about Joanna versus Zhang. Like a lot. And so I thought, right, something different. And I think I'm just going to go for Max and Gaethje.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a bad one. It is a good one, especially that ending. Maybe I'd go, as you said, we've mentioned Rory and Robbie too. We mentioned Zhang v Joanna before. I always mention Israel Adesanya versus Kelvin Gastelum. I think that's a great fight. But I'm going to throw in there Yuri Prochazka versus Glover Teixeira.
Yeah, that's a good
I think that's a crazy fight. Really, really fun fight. So yeah, check those out if you haven't seen them. And actually, I think Hendo v Shogun 1 is maybe a fight I haven't seen. So I maybe need to go and check that one out.
That fight is absolute bananas. Like,
is that UFC or is it Pride?
It's UFC. Yeah, it's an absolute bell. I'll also honourable mention. I've mentioned it many times on here before. Diego Sanchez versus Gilbert Melendez as well. That's one of your faves,
isn't it? So Will _ Ham42. Will we ever see a triple champ? I think the answer's probably not.
Right, well, hang on a minute. Weren't you saying on the last episode that you could potentially see Ilia Topuria going up again?
That's true, yeah.
Yeah, literally, as you mentioned at the beginning, 24 hours ago.
Less than 24 hours ago. Look, I woke up on a different side of the bed. Now, here's the thing. If what we were talking about was if Ilya knocks out Arman Sarukian, then just send him up to welterweight. I've got to see it. I don't think Ilya makes short work of Arman Sarukian necessarily. I think that would be a really tough fight. Maybe, I don't know who I'd favour. It'd be a close fight for me. But if he just did that, if he starched Sarukian in the second round, I'd be like, screw it. I need to see Islam beat Topuria at welterweight. And if he did that, then I'd go, we probably will see like a triple weight champion maybe. But in terms of realities of triple weight champions, you could maybe see Ilya. Ilya's definitely up there as a possibility. He's so young. I think Alex Pereira has an opportunity because he's already got 2 of the belts and he's got that devastating knockout power where you go, if he were to fight Tom Aspinall, yes, I think 8-9 times out of 10, Tom just tackles him and takes him down and it's game over within a round. But if Alex were to magically get something off, you're looking at a 3-weight champion. So those have got to be your favourites to do it. The guy that really had, I think, the best chance of doing it a while ago was Khamzat Chimaev. Because Khamzat, if he'd have just got his weight stuff sorted, definitely would have been a welterweight champion, no question. He's now about to fight for a middleweight belt against Dricus. And Dricus is maybe a harder matchup than what definitely Sean Strickland and Israel Adesanya would have been for Khamzat. So it's now tougher than what it would have been had Khamzat got the weight stuff sorted and did everything a bit earlier. And at light heavyweight, I mean, Pereira versus Chimaev, Jan Blachowicz, Glover Teixeira, all these guys versus Chimaev. I don't know. Maybe now that it's Ankalaev, I think no way. But
really,
if it was, Ankalaev versus Chimaev, I think Ankalaev wins that fight. I think it's just so big and so well rounded. But I think if you stuck Chimaev, who was already in this magical world, a 2-weight world champion, in the cage against Alex Pereira, who had just won the belt. Mate, that's interesting. Because if Chimaev just bulldozes through a leg kick and into a takedown, that's it, game over. So, Chimaev, I think, on paper, had the best chance way back when he debuted in like 2020, 2021, whatever it was. But since then, obviously, he never won the welterweight belt. He may not win the middleweight belt. So, he may get no belts. But at one point, I thought he could have been a triple weight champion. But ultimately, there's just the size matters so much that to go and be a triple weight champion it would be a big ask for anyone. I think even someone like Topuria, Poatan, the reality is when you move up to that 3rd weight class, you're not going to get the belt.
I think. I mean, what's interesting is when you mention Ilya going up and you want to see him fight Islam. The way that people talk about Islam and the way that they talk about people forget that Jack Della Maddalena's the champion, and people just seem to be just looking like past him, and I wish they wouldn't, because I think he's legit, and I don't think it's a walk in the park for Makhachev.
We've got some questions about that coming up.
All right. Okay.
So, do you know what? I want to just to give them a shout out.
Yeah.
But we have got some JDM Makhachev questions coming up. But by all means, if we get to them and you haven't got to say what you wanted to say, then chip in and add something to it.
All right, mate.
Jan Owen has said, what's your take on Paddy the Baddy's health after this ups and downs with weight in between fights? Do you think it's sustainable, and who is the better opponent, Charles, Justin, or Ilya? Ignore the hype, but stylistically, who is the better fight? I'd like to just start by saying I think Paddy is looking after himself way more these days.
Oh, 100%.
I think, obviously, Cage Warriors days and maybe the first 2-3 fights in the UFC, we were seeing this guy massively putting on weight. And, it completely changes his whole face. I met Paddy at MMA On Point, kind of like a watch-along thing that I did with them once. And we'd interviewed Paddy shortly after or before a fight. And when I met him in person, it took me a while to realise it was him. because he looked so different. Like when he puts on the weight, it completely changes the shape of his face.
It's
everything.
his face. It's the face, isn't it? And it does. It doesn't take a lot of weight.
Yeah, it changes everything. So it took me a while to even go, oh, it's Paddy. And I almost look back on that time of meeting him and be like, oh, I would have been like way friendlier because you'd been on the show. But I didn't realize it was you for a while. So I was just like, hey, man, like, just like I wasn't, it didn't click. But anyway. Yeah,
because loads of people walk around with that haircut. I can see why you wouldn't have recognised him.
But it changes the hair, man. Like the size of his face changes how the hair looks. But I think Paddy is taking care of himself way more now than what he was previously. So, and I'm about to sneeze.
There we go. Oh, and another. Bless you.
It was a double. Thank you. So you could have taken up the baton when I said that and like said some stuff for the audience to like listen to and enjoy, but instead you just left silence so they could hear me sneeze.
I was counting your sneezes out loud.
But yeah, so I think Paddy's doing a much better job of taking care of himself. So I'm not too worried about that for him. Obviously, the blowing up and down, we saw it with Ricky Hatton. It's sustainable to a point, but I think the long-term effects are not good for you, and it can't be good for your performance in the octagon or the ring if you're someone that does that. So, yeah, I think we've seen that with Ricky Hatton, and I think Paddy has maybe learnt his lesson now and is not doing that. So, yeah, so I'm not worried about that.
Compete at that higher level, and you're coming in at a disadvantage. If you look at, like, I think Hatton had one of the best dietitians in the end in the business to get that work, because when you're going into camp, you're going in at a disadvantage, aren't you? If your opponent's already not too far off a weight, you know, they've not got to shed the weight before, you know, they're training at sort of peak performance. Whereas,
well, that's it. They're training for you. Yeah. They're going, what does this guy do? How do I counter what they do? So they've got weeks worth of training where they're just focused on you, whereas you're spending the first 3-4 weeks of camp just doing cardio, probably trying to get the weight down.
Yeah.
So, yeah, of course, you're at a disadvantage. And then in terms of stylistically the best fight, well, look, I know you've said ignore this, but the fight to make is Ilia Topuria because it's fan-friendly, it's fun, it's going to be massive.
The narrative's
That is
there.
the fight to make. The narrative's there. You have to make that fight. Paddy was in the cage, all these things. However, if we are playing your game, you know, and we're going just stylistically, I think the most interesting stylistic matchup is actually Charles Oliveira. What do you think?
When you say the best matchup, are you saying the best fight?
The best stylistic match. So what Yunoan wants us to do is ignore the hype and ignore the implications of belts and stuff like that, and just go fighter A versus fighter B in the octagon, nothing at stake, just the fight. What's the better fight? Is
I think
Paddy versus Justin, Charles, or Ilia? And I would say Charles is the more interesting, fun fight in the cage, not the build-up, not the title implications, nothing like that, not selling pay-per-views, just in the cage. What's the most interesting fighter A versus fighter B style?
I think they're the closest match in regards to, I wouldn't say Charles is a big knockout specialist, whereas obviously Gaethje's got dynamite in his hands, as has Ilia, and obviously Oliveira's ground game is phenomenal, and we know that Paddy's ground game's phenomenal as well. I think I'd probably agree with you, mate. I do think that that's probably the most balanced and interesting fight you could get, but fuck that, I want to see him fight Ilia Topuria, man.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Right, next question.
Also, just quickly, I'm not mad about him fighting Justin Gaethje either. That's a great fight as well.
Oh, none of them are bad fights. They're all fantastic fights, for sure. It's the K to the B, which I really want to say in like some kind of faux grime MC way. It's the K to the B. It's the K to the B. It's the K to the B. What's your favourite surprise fight? One you never expected a result of, or even how good it was. So I suppose what's our favourite either surprise result of a fight, or like a fight that we just went into going, it's fine. And then it was an absolute banger. Off the top of my head, I'm just thinking about results-wise, just how unbelievably shocked we were when Strickland beat Adesanya. Like, it's not my favourite because I didn't like the result. But in terms of just me having to start touching the walls around me and check that there wasn't like, we weren't actually in a virtual reality simulation, that is the fight that made me go, what have I just watched? How has Israel Adesanya lost a 5-round points decision to Sean Strickland? What about you?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great shout because I think for about 3 months after that fight, we were still scratching our head at how Sean Strickland, was a champ. Like, it made no sense, literally constantly saying a year ago, who would have ever have thought it? And he's still up there in the thick of things. I've got to be honest, a fight that I didn't think was going to go the way it went, and I found it super exciting, just to talk about Paddy a little bit more, really, was Paddy versus Chandler. I didn't think Paddy was going to look that good. I thought Chandler was going to put him through his paces, and he didn't. Paddy looked fantastic, and that was a fight that, I think I was like, oh, right, I thought this might be a little bit more of a balanced fight, but it was just a masterclass from Paddy. But I think, and I've said it before, in regards to shocks and outcomes, I just didn't expect Holly Holm versus Ronda Rousey. It blew my mind. That was the one where I was shouting literally in my living room at 4:00 in the morning. Holy shit, I can't believe what I'm just seeing. And
Another fight that is just, in terms of two fighters that you just like, this fight's going to be like whatever. And then it ended up being a really fun, but not technical and just silly, is Paulo Costa versus Luke Rockhold. That if you haven't seen that fight, or if you haven't watched it for a couple of years or whatever, throw that on and just laugh to yourself, because it is one of the weirdest, craziest fights. Like Luke Rockhold just rubbing his blood all over Paulo Costa.
That's
just one
shout.
of the weirdest things. It's just the whole fight is weird. Like every time I watch that fight, I start laughing because it's everything about it is just odd. The way that fight plays out is strange. Just like Luke's getting beat up, but he keeps coming forward, and Paulo's tired, and it's a mad fight. That is such a weird fight.
And now he's going to be boxing Darren Till.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I've not got much to say about that. He lost his teeth in bare knuckle against Mike Perry. I've not really got any interest in him seeing a fight in Darren Till. But
he lost
get that
his
money,
teeth.
son.
Sounds like he's got false ones that he took out before he went in and carved. Oh, he definitely. Like,
Jesus.
If I was as handsome as Luke Rockhold, I would not bare knuckle box against Mike Perry.
Jesus. So, right. Danny Brown 0601. This is a question for you, Whiffin. You'll love this. Will Lorna Kavanagh be in the rankings by the end of the year?
Yeah, 100%. Oh, where are we? No, we're in August. Maybe not. Early part of next year.
That's where I've landed, early part of next year as well. I mean, I have all the belief in Lorna Kavanagh. I think he's absolutely great. I think he will definitely break into the rankings. I think definitely top 10 and maybe as far as even fighting for a belt and hopefully being a champion one day. I don't know. But at the moment, since joining the UFC, he's only fought like every kind of like 5 to 6 months. He's got a fight booked at the end of August against Charles Johnson. Charles Johnson is not ranked. So he has to win that fight and then fight again within about like 3 and a bit months. And that's just not the way Kavanagh's played it so far. He might do. Maybe he gets a short notice fight in December, November, and he can do that well, especially if he gets a quick finish against Charles Johnson. But at the moment, I think the likelihood is that he has to wait until early next year to get his shot at the rankings. And that's if he beats Charles Johnson, which we're hoping he does.
And I'm presuming he's going to want to fight in London. So when's the London card? That's not... When's that?
Usually March,
it's March, isn't it? So maybe
But he could definitely get that.
Yeah,
he could fight in
maybe
August. He could
get-
fight in November, December, and then March. And then get in the rankings there.
Yeah, that's that. I'd like to see it play out like that. But who knows?
Yeah.
But, whatever happens, it's going to be exciting because that boy is so much fun to watch.
Yep. LEJ666. Favorite up and comer you're each looking forward to seeing work their way up the rankings. Also, favorite flavor of crisp to go in a butty. Now, the use of the word butty is like, well, you're a northerner, I think. LEJ666. We don't really say butty down here. And crisps in a roll that's not a thing, is it, for us? That's quite a northern thing, isn't it?
A butty's a sandwich. Northerners call rolls like cobs or batches. They've all got different names for rolls. But
I thought a butty was a roll.
No, a butty's a sandwich.
But again, we don't say butty down here, do we?
No. So you're on our podcast, so it's called a sandwich.
Get some decorum, LEJ666.
Right, can we go in on this? Because
a sandwich, LEJ666. How dare you desecrate our podcast with your northern slang?
Right. I've got two. Two.
So hang on, do you put crisps in a sandwich then?
Occasionally, but when I do, I know exactly what I'm going for.
You put crisps in a sandwich?
Right, hang on, right, because I get passionate about this, right? Okay. Now, I've not eaten crisps for about 2.5 months, and I really miss them, right? I've not had bread for 2.5 months, and I really miss it.
Hang on, Whiffin. Impress the listeners. How much weight have you lost recently?
2.5 stone, right?
Good on you, mate. Look at that. And this all came from the time I was telling you that you'd be fighting Yuri Prohajka if we get to go into UFC in the weights that we are now. So that's what propelled you to lose the weight, as you're too scared of Yuri Prohajka. But you've lost 2.5 stone, which is amazing. But please do talk to me about the crisp, because that, to me, crisps in a sandwich is like, are you under 10? Yes, then it's allowed. If you're over 10, put some fucking meat in your sandwich.
Again, less than 24 hours ago, Blake Harrison was telling everybody about putting on a virtual reality headset and thinking he's Batman.
I am Batman, mate. But yeah, go on. So quick, I need to hear the crisps in the sandwich stuff, because this is like, what the hell, man?
But if I have a sandwich, I have to have a bag of crisps with the sandwich.
But all right, that's different.
Right, okay.
Are you putting the crisps in the sandwich?
It depends.
Oh my God.
Right. Generally, I would say 8 times out of 10, no. Right. Now, one of them, I no longer eat meat, right? But when I eat meat, right, this is a fucking powerful one. It ain't even a crisp, but this is me combo, right? I get really.
I can see your mouth watering as you talk about this.
Salivating, right? Cheap pate, right? Just a little bit of cheap pate in a bit of white bread, okay, thin cut white bread, and then, like, basically all of these you can do when you take your kids to kids' parties, because there's always buffet left everywhere, and all the parents are kind of just sort of circling the table waiting for the kids to go and play, and so you can go and finish off that, right? So this lends itself to them situations, right? Pate, and then basically sprinkle some salted peanuts, and then put that on, right? That's number one, right?
Oh, that sounds fucking horrible.
No, wait. It's powerful. Right, second one, all right? These ain't, I mean, I know you've got expensive taste, Blake Harrison, but like, not me, mate. Right, cheap white bread, okay? Little bit of butter. Cheap white cheese, just cheap shit cheese, right? Like the stuff you get in them like little triangles at kids' parties, right? That, but then push them in like little biscuit cutters and cake cutters. You push in the pastry and then turn it, and then like that. But plain hula hoops, ready salted hula hoops pushed into the cheese. Then that, powerful, mate.
That sounds horrendous.
Oh, mate, cheese and ready salted hula hoops in white bread. Oh, mate, honestly. Next time you're over the studio, mate, I'm going to lay on a really horrible buffet for you, and you're going to love it.
Oh, fuck no. Right, I have to just move on because that's so grim.
Have you never put crisps in a sandwich?
When I was a kid.
All right, what did you do?
I might have had, I don't know, like, it might have been like chicken flavoured crisps in a sandwich or something. I don't know. Like it's not something that stuck with me because it's a weird thing to do.
One of us got more impassioned about this question than the other one, didn't they?
All right, the actual MMA part of the question. Let's focus on that rather than Stu's grotesque taste buds. So, favourite up and comer you're each looking forward to seeing work their way up the rankings.
Can I just ask listeners? Can you please go over to YouTube now and start commenting on what crisps you will put in your sandwich? Get commenting on the YouTube. Let me know. Right. Sorry. Back to MMA.
Back to MMA. So I don't know if this counts as a. I think Lonnie Kavanagh is an obvious shout for both of us. I think particularly, I know you love Lonnie Kavanagh. I really want to see, just because I love his style of fights, Mauricio Ruffi. I believe he is currently unranked. Is he unranked? Yeah, I believe he is. So Mauricio Ruffi, I believe, is still unranked. He got that spinning wheel kick knockout of King Green in his last fight. I'm just trying to see if he's got a fight booked at the moment, but I love his style. Yeah.
I'm sure he has.
He has got a fight booked. Yes, Benoit Saint-Denis coming up. Oh, yes, in September. What a fight that's going to be. That's a great fight, you know. And it's the right thing for Ruffi to be like, can you handle the guy that wants to take you down then? You know, can you pull off a knockout, do something flashy against a guy that is looking to drag you to the mat and take you down? Good step for Ruffi. And Benoit Saint-Denis is ranked 13th. So this will be him. He wins this. He's in the top 15, and then we see where he goes from there. But I'm really looking forward to what he does next. He's got such a great style. I might throw on Peyton Talbot as well, you know, just so that every week I could talk about how much his grappling is improving, because I know how much you love that with him. Every week, Peyton Talbot's improved his grappling. And he done well. just watch steam coming out of your ears. But yeah, have you got anyone other than, like, I know Lonnie Kavanagh would have been your big shout, I'm assuming.
I think so. But I know that, you know, he's more established, but I'm really interested to see where Gene Silva can go. I think he's got a very exciting fight style that I look forward to seeing more of. A newcomer to the UFC that I'm really excited about, and former guest of the show, Shamrock. I'm really interested to see what Shem does in the UFC. And as mentioned 1,000,001 times, I'm just can't wait to see Luke Riley in the UFC, because as soon as he gets here, he'll be shoulder to shoulder with Lonnie Kavanagh, putting on some of the most exciting fights you're likely to see in the organisation.
Yep, I agree. DK Locharn? I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. DK Locharn. Which past UFC champions had the best chances of being a double champ who weren't? So which past UFC champions had the best chance of being a double champ who weren't? I have just sort of realised I read this slightly incorrectly when I was making my notes, because I was thinking two-weight champion, but they're actually saying double champ, as in like simultaneous champion.
Oh, what, the same time?
Yeah, I guess so. Maybe we can adapt it slightly, because I apologies, I misread that slightly, and I was thinking two-weight champion. My brain immediately went to Khabib. I think Khabib could have stepped up to welterweight and done bits. He would have been fighting Kamaru Usman or someone like that, which would have been a tough matchup for him. But if he was fighting, I don't know, would he have been fighting a Woodley? If he'd have fought Woodley, I think he would have done it. But if against Usman, it would have been much tougher. So maybe if he was fighting Woodley, I think he definitely could have been double champ. Anderson Silva's another one who went up to light heavyweight and won fights, but just never fought for the belt up there.
I would have said Anderson.
Anyone else you want to throw in the ring?
I've
got a couple more, maybe.
Max?
Nah, who would Max have beaten a lightweight? Would he have beaten? Was he champ when Eddie Alvarez was champ?
Possibly then.
I think when I think of Max being champ, I think of Khabib being champ, and I think they almost made that fight as well. Do you remember when Tony dropped out. Max stepped in, but then Max couldn't make the weight or whatever. So then it was who was it that stepped in? The real estate agent.
Who fights with
Sterling and all that lot.
Sterling, yeah.
Ally Aquinta.
Ally Aquinta, yeah.
Ally Aquinta. Oh. We had a press conference. There was a press conference where Max was sat alongside Khabib and they were about to fight. And it just didn't happen. But I don't think Max beats Khabib. So I can't give it to Max. I would say DJ, maybe he was too small. He did lose to Dominic Cruz earlier on in his career. But DJ in his prime maybe could have gone up and done bits against a TJ or Edinburgh or someone like that.
I mean, we saw TJ try other things and that didn't end well, did it?
Yeah. What if I throw this at you now? What do you think happens in a fight between Merab and Volk right now?
Ooh.
Tough, isn't it? Because Volk's, look, we love Volk. It's amazing that he's got back to the belt. I'm such a big Volk fan. But he's not in his prime anymore. And Merab is on an absolute tear. What do you think goes down?
I mean, look, I think Merab outworks anyone. You know, we've seen that. Like, the cardio is ridiculous. I don't know. I think Volk's at the weight he's at now. I think he, let's look at his last fight. He looked great, and I think maybe that little bit of size will make a difference. I don't know. I did not see this question coming. At the moment, you can't count Merab out of anything. He's looking ridiculous. But that last performance from Volk, for me, I thought he looked great. I thought he looked like Volk of old, not Volk being old. I know that you come at me with that yesterday when I wanted him playing right wing for me and me MMA football team. But yeah, I don't know. I think that's a really interesting question. I think that will be a really interesting fight.
Yeah, I agree.
What do you think?
Right. I mean, Volk's wrestling is really good. We saw that again in the Islam Makhachev fight, and he would be the stronger guy, not the guy giving up weight this time around. You would think with a full camp, Volk could do a lot to be like, because again, Merab's thing is it's wrestling. It's like he doesn't stop. Merab doesn't have to get you down at the first, second, or third attempt because he'll go for the fourth and the fifth, all in quick succession. It's chain wrestling, and so Volk with a full camp might be able to get on top of that, deal with that. We've seen that stuff. Whether is it the Shark Tank they call it, where he's just fighting guy after guy after guy, and they're really putting in a shift over in his gym in Australia. I'd want to favour Volk for the size and for the fact that I just love Volk, but I think it's a really interesting match. It's not a match I need to see anytime soon because there's contenders in both divisions, but hypothetically, that is a fight where you go, that is a really interesting fight. Next question, I've actually done a bit of research for. I'll get your opinion on it first, and then I'm going to show my work. Doodle_MMA says, are the UFC cheap asses not increasing the bonuses? Been 50k for 20-ish years. Quick thoughts there, Whiffin?
Well, I think I'm presuming fighters earn a little more now than probably what they earned 20 years ago. I think that's a safe assumption. Now, pay-per-views have gone up. Obviously, the production of the events has gone up. But I don't know. I just think the UFC want exciting fights and they try and match, opponents to give you exciting fights. Now, I think a 50 grand bonus is a big carrot to dangle for fighters to earn that extra money. And even when you see these, we saw Max and Dustin saying we didn't even get fight of the night. Like, was that just the kudos of that, or did they need that 50 bags? I don't know. But I do think that bonuses or just the pay structure in general should be bigger than what we're led to believe in regards to fighter pay, what they get. And I know it's a lazy comparison, but boxers earn such huge amounts of money for these major fights, and I don't know. I just think the level of work that these UFC fighters put in, I think should be rewarded, and they're putting their health on the line. Not just in the octagon, but in camp, sparring and stuff like that. Are they taking time off of their lifespan? Possibly. Should that be compensated? I don't know. Maybe not.
Well, let me, if you don't mind, you seem to be unsure. So let me throw some stuff
on just quickly.
Go on, yeah.
Was maybe don't increase bonuses, but put something in place for aftercare for retired fighters.
Well, to me, that's a whole nother issue, but you're absolutely right. Like kind of like retirement plans or something for fighters, for sure, that would be a great thing. But sticking with the bonuses, let me throw some things at you and see if it changes your opinion ever so, or solidifies your opinion ever so slightly. So the UFC have given out fight night bonuses since 2007. They were slightly different back then. It was usually sub of the night, KO of the night, and maybe fight of the night or something like that. Nowadays, that 50k bonus back in 2007 should actually be in 2025 £77,784.77 once you adjust for inflation. So even if we rounded that down, you could go 75 grand. The bonuses as we know them today, being performance of the night and fight of the night, so let's be really kind to the UFC here, have been in place since 2014. So 50k bonuses since 2007. But as we know them today, performance of the night and fight of the night, they haven't changed the amount of money, still 50k, but they've adjusted. It's not KO and sub of the night anymore. It's performance of the night and fight of the night. That's been going since UFC Fight Night 36 in February 2014. Today, that 50 grand, if you just go from February 2014, would have gone up to $67,895.25. So still, with inflation, even if you just go from 2014, that would have gone up quite a lot more. Also, other things to factor in. In 2007, Forbes valued the UFC at $1.1 billion as a company. In 2014, when the performance of the night and fight of the night came in and changed slightly, didn't change the money, just changed how they gave out the bonuses, Forbes valued the UFC at $1.65 billion. In April 2024, because I couldn't find a more recent statistic, in April 2024, Forbes valued the UFC at $11.3 billion. They have gone up by 10 billion, basically, in 10 years, and the bonuses haven't gone up at all. To me, that is bad. I think you've either got to start giving out, or you should start giving out basically 70 grand a night bonuses. I know it's not as well-rounded a figure. You could make it 75, really, considering how much money the UFC have got. But you could do 70 grand bonuses instead of 50 grand bonuses. Or what you could do is keep it a 50 grand bonus, but give it to everyone who gets a finish. Doesn't have to be fight of the night. Doesn't have to be performance of the night. It's just, if anyone gets a finish, you get 50 grand bonus.
I ain't mad at that.
And that surely incentivizes everyone to go for the knockout, to go for the submission, and to get that finish. Surely that is a great incentive to fighters to not play safe, to not try and eke out a decision, the lay and praise and all this stuff is like, or the clinch work up against the fence that takes ages. Go for that. You want that 50 grand? Do that.
You get the
and
finish
if it goes
bonus.
to everyone, get the finish bonus. Like, do that. You'll be giving out more of them. But again, we're talking about a company that in 10 years' time has gone up by 10 billion.
But
according to Forbes, it's crazy money, man.
Let's say they give out 10 bonuses in a night, but you've got a card with 10 finishes on. it could be a fight night card with 10 finishes on where you just think, wow, I need to watch this. Like these fighters, not that they don't ever go for broke, but you do see a little bit of land prey every now and again. And I just think, incentivising that a little bit would be exciting. Yeah. And it's hard. More of an opportunity for fighters to make more money.
100%. And if you're on the early prelims, if you are one of the fighters on like the early prelims and stuff like that, you don't really get, unless you do something magical, you don't really get picked as fight of the nights and performance of the nights. They usually leave it for the latter kind of like main card fighters a lot of the time, unless someone does something special. And so it just gives you more of an opportunity to go, my contract's only 10 and 10. Yeah. So the most I'll get is 20 grand. But if I get the finish, I walk away with 70 grand. Like, I think you just see more people, especially earlier on in the cards, just going, fuck it, let's just throw down. Let's point in the middle of that octagon and just throw down and see what happens. So do that. That's what I think should be done. But again, the UFC have their model, and they have made the money they've got, and they have increased their value in such a way by using the practices that they have done, which may not always be great for the fighters or maybe not always great for the fans, but it works for them and their shareholders and the TKO board and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, but that is what I think about that. The bonuses should have gone up a while ago. Connor Coyle, do you think John Jones is scared of Aspinall? And what do you think happens in Ankalaev versus Pereira 2? Seeing as though Ank never secured a single takedown in their fight, and Ank won by only one single round in their fight. So quickly, because we have covered this a lot, is John Jones scared of Tom Aspinall?
I think he just probably sees him. I don't think he's scared of him, but I think in regards, he's scared to have a dent in his legacy. And I think anybody, Tom Aspinall at the moment is definitely the biggest threat to that legacy. So if he can avoid that, I think he will.
Yeah, I sort of agree. I don't think it's scared. If they had a fight in a street, I don't think John Jones would run away from him. But in terms of John protecting his legacy, yes, I think he's very concerned about fighting someone like Tom Aspinall. And he sort of said as much, because he said he would fight Pereira. He said he would fight, someone else coming out of retirement. Did he say Cormier again? I can't remember. He's mentioned a few names, but just never Tom Aspinall. So there you go. And in Pereira versus Ankalaev 2, what do we think happens? I don't know. I think I'd favour Ank even more, because Ankalaev has shown that he can deal with him on the feet. And maybe also Pereira might go into the second fight going, he didn't really try and take me down as much as I thought he would. Because you're saying he hasn't got a single takedown, but he didn't really go for them that often. I was expecting him to go for the takedown way more. And maybe in the second fight, he goes for the takedown more. Pereira's expecting it less. And he ends up on his back. So I'm actually going to favour Ankalaev. But then since the sort of inception of this show, I've been saying I think Ankalaev is the best light heavyweight on the planet. And it took him years and years of being in that sad little room where he deserved a title shot and wasn't getting one. And finally he got it, and he made it work. And it's everyone we put in that room, Merab, Bilal, Ankalaev, Leon, they were all the people in the room that deserved title shots that were just waiting, and the UFC did not want to give them a title shot. And as soon as they got it, they won the belt. So I feel like we've been vindicated whenever we've put anyone in that room. And Ankalaev, to me, was in that room a long time before he got to the belt. And I think he's the best light heavyweight on the planet, and has been for a long, long time. So I think he's going to do even better this time round against Pereira. What is the next question? I swear I've written this down wrong. Poya.mhdzd. Who's on your... Yeah, I know. Who's on your top 10 pound for pound list of all time? I feel like we've answered questions like this a bit recently, but I'm just going to throw some names out there very, very quickly. I think, especially if we're talking men and women, you got to go, despite everything, I think you have to have John Jones, you have to have George St. Pierre, you have to have Demetrius Johnson, you have to have Anderson Silva, you have to have Amanda Nunes, if we're including, a multi-gender top 10 pound for pound list. after Nunes is when maybe it can start to get a little bit more, I don't know, there's a bit more argument there. I think if you're making a top 10 list and Jones, GSP, DJ, Anderson Silva, Nunes aren't on that list, I think your list is wrong. But after that, maybe you can chop and change some people. What do you think?
Ronda Rousey should be in there.
Do you think Ronda Rousey should be in the top 10 pound for pound?
Yeah, I think she demolished everybody. Everybody that was put in front of her, she got them out of there so quickly.
Except Holly Holm and
Amanda Nunes. And but what she done leading up to that and what she done for women's MMA was ridiculous.
When I see pound for pound, I'm not including what you've done for the sport and stuff like that. Because if you do that, then you'd have to have Conor. And I don't want Conor in my top 10 pound for pound list.
Okay.
Because I'm thinking about in the cage stuff.
Yeah. I'll probably put Cain Velasquez in there.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Over a Fedor or someone like that. Because again, I hear a lot about Fedor. I never really watched Fedor. No, but he fought in Pride and stuff, and he still fought. They were at the time, I very much a rival. But whenever I hear people talk GOAT conversations, Fedor's name pops up. Cain Velasquez doesn't really.
Mm. I think Cain Velasquez would have beaten Fedor in his prime.
Yeah. Interesting. Valentina Shevchenko probably gets in there.
I think so.
If you're doing a top 10.
I think so.
I think Jose Aldo has to. I mean, I know that obviously
that's a great
after the Conor fight, but he was champ for 9 years, man. You got to have Jose Aldo in there. And then does Islam Makhachev get in there?
Yeah, I guess so.
Because Khabib was 28-0 or whatever he was, but he did stop early, only 3 title defenses. But he was the him alongside BJ Penn, greatest lightweight of all time until Islam Makhachev's taken the record now, isn't he, for lightweight title defenses?
BJ Penn's a good shout.
I think Khabib and Islam could both be in there.
Mm.
I think you could argue both of those guys are in there. Randy Couture's another one, a name to throw in. I don't know. I think you can have a mixture. Does Volk make it in?
That ain't a bad shout.
I mean, having won the belt a second time, I don't know, could Volk make it into your top 10 pound for pound list? With another couple of title defences, you'd say probably. But I think... Go on.
I'm just thinking. I think Couture's a good shout, by the way. He was
a two-weight champion, wasn't he? Cejudo. I don't know. It doesn't feel right for me putting Cejudo in there.
I'm going to say Renan Barão.
No, you can't be. Really? Renan Barão?
What was his unbeaten record? He cleared out everyone, just like Jose was doing. You've thrown Jose in there. Yes, obviously.
Jose did it for 9 years.
What was the thing? I don't know. Was you watching UFC when Renan Barão was on his absolute...
Not really, no.
Right.
I've never heard Renan Barão's name mentioned in these conversations.
I think people forget just how incredible that guy was. When he got beaten, nobody expected that. And
how many title defences did he have?
Right, okay, let me pull this up. Right, Renan Barão. Let's have a look. Jesus Christ. So Renan Barão, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25.
Oh my God, with him.
28.
Oh, just title defences, mate. I don't care about how many cans he beat.
I think he was
back in Brazil or whatever.
He was 32-0 when he lost to TJ. But yeah, in regards to how many defences was it? Oh, I can't see on here. But literally went through everyone. Yeah, just throwing it in there. Just throwing it in there.
My God. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm
Look how disappointed you are in that.
Renan Barão. I don't know about Renan Barão. But yeah, hopefully people are happy with a lot of the names that we've mentioned in there. I think Khabib and Islam have got shouts to make it in the top 10. They're sort of interchangeable, really. Islam with more title defences, but Khabib, I think, has a better resume. If Islam goes up and beats JDM, then that's it. I think Islam's in the top 10 pound for pound of all time, probably.
I mean,
right,
Stipe.
I don't know. It just doesn't feel right to me. Top 10 pound for pound of all time. I know he's got the most title defenses at heavyweight.
Someone asked us this question maybe 3-4 years ago. I don't think we'd be questioning it.
You don't think?
No.
Right, well, interesting. Alfie Lamb 01. With all the talk about the possibility of Topuria versus Islam for the welterweight belt, I feel like people are writing off JDM. There you go. Too quickly. Do you think JDM has any chance against Islam? If so, how do you think he does it? So here's your JDM question.
Do I think JDM can do it? Of course I think JDM can do it. JDM's the champion. And he's looked great getting to that championship position. We've not seen Islam fight at this weight. I'm interested to see what he can do. Obviously, we know he walks around a lot heavier than what he fights at. Most fighters do. But look, he's probably going to be the toughest fight of JDM's career. Obviously, because he's fighting, as we've just mentioned, a potential, one of the GOATs. But I just think don't sleep on JDM. I've been saying for probably, over a year now that JDM, I think I called him to be the champ in a beginning of the year show. I think he's great. I think he's underrated. I think people are just writing him off straight away. But I think he's got a very good chance of defending his belt.
Yeah, I mean, look, that Bilal fight made me really interested in him versus Islam Makhachev. I think that, firstly, size does matter. Yes, Islam walks around heavier than what we think, but JDM will probably go into that fight bigger. And size is really important. That's why weight classes exist. So I think JDM definitely has a chance. He looked great in the Bilal fight. The other thing to consider is he trained to fight Gilbert Burns. He trained to fight Bilal. So he's trained to fight people that want to take him down. And now he's training to fight Islam Makhachev. Now, Islam is a way better striker than both Burns and Bilal.
Yeah.
And he's got the wrestling as well. I think Makhachev will be the favourite when the fight odds and everything kind of come out.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
But I do think JDM has a chance to win this fight. I think he's very, very good, but I do just think Islam's wrestling will be excellent, and his striking as well will be something he if he doesn't get JDM down, he's not going to panic. He's got great striking. Yeah. But if JDM does it, I mean, hell, maybe he can hit him with big shots. Maybe he can rip that body and Makhachev starts to fade. Maybe it's a points thing over 5 rounds. He just landed the better strikes. It's very possible that JDM wins it. I wouldn't be totally shocked if JDM won. I think I'd probably be favouring Makhachev. But here is another JDM question from LD_2008. If JDM beats Islam and continues to have title defences against the likes of Sean Brady, Shavkat, does the MMA community start to put him in GOAT contention? My immediate answer to that would be no. Because having 3 title defences, even if it is Makhachev, Shavkat and Sean Brady, it doesn't make you the GOAT. I mean, GSP had loads of title defences. If we're talking welterweight GOAT, to get ahead of Usman and then GSP, it's going to take a lot. It's going to take like 6 title defences or something like that. It's going to be a lot. To put him in GOAT overall conversation, if you're putting JDM as the GOAT after 3 title defences, I don't know what you're watching and what to tell you. To put him above GSP, Demetrius Johnson, John Jones, like after 3 title defences would be just insane. I think there is a problem with this sport at the moment that I hear other people talk about as well, where maybe because fans, apparently the turnover of UFC fans is incredibly quick. You know, people will stay football fans their entire lives. apparently the average lifespan, not lifespan, the average longevity.
Jesus, I'm 52. I'm fucked.
You're fucked. You're an anomaly. But no, the average kind of like longevity for UFC fans staying invested in the sport is meant to be like 5 years or something like that. It's meant to be quite short. Oh,
really?
Yeah, it's meant to be very short. So you got the odd hardcores that stay in it as long as we do, and particularly you have. But a lot of people just kind of dip in and out. They spend a couple of years in and then they're out. Like my brother is one of them that like for a while was really big UFC fan. And recently I was talking to him he was like, I haven't watched a card in ages. I'm just like, I'm not bothered. Like, he's not feeling it. And I can understand it because I do think we're oversaturated with cards that, particularly a lot of the fight nights aren't great. A lot of pay-per-views are still good, but a lot of the fight nights aren't great. And he's therefore like, he goes, I don't know, like more than half the people on there, I don't know who they are. That's what he'll say to me. And I'm like, oh, that's a shame because there's some really good fighters on there and stuff. But yeah, that's the problem with this sport is a lot of time you get people that have only been a fans for like 2-3 years, think they know everything about the sport. And then they'll go, oh, this person's the GOAT because it's what they're watching now. And it's like, no, you're not considering the history of someone having 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 title defenses and stuff like that, which is really where someone solidifies themselves as one of the greatest, in my opinion, to keep taking out the next guy up, the next guy up, the next guy up until you're lapping the division. That's when you start becoming a GOAT. So next question, unless you've got anything else to add on that.
No, I don't think, I mean, I'll answer this more unbiased because I like Australians. I do think that JDM is fantastic. 3 defences against the likes of Sean Brady, to echo what Blake said, I don't think you're entering GOAT territory. If you are, then I don't really understand what GOAT is anymore. Because I do think that we've got a lot to see from Shavkat yet, and I think that's where some of the really exciting stuff might be happening. Yeah. And I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with Ian Gary as well. And they'd
be amazing wins. He'd be like a pound for pound. If he beat Makhachev, Shavkat, and then Brady, I'd be like, I think he might be the pound for pound best on the planet. Like but he's not GOAT.
No.
So next question. Sammy_Lander. Which do you think has been the best, most entertaining weight class in the history of the UFC? Do you want to take this first?
See, I think it's easy to say heavyweight, right? Because
I didn't even have them down, so go on.
Oh, right. Because I just look and I'm, you mentioned Couture earlier. And I know I wasn't a fan, but I know that you and a lot of our mates loved Brock, and just never boring fights. Uber Reem, when he was fighting absolutely jacked, was terrifying to watch. And Junior Dos Santos, Cain Velasquez, watching these eras develop through to Francis Ngannou, like all of these people just destroying people and making it being so exciting to watch, and the unpredictability of it of just like it went a bit boring when Cormier become champ, but apart from that I think and we're now in an era of Tom Aspinall, which is however many fights all finish in the first round. What more can you want from a division?
Yeah, interesting. I never really thought of that. My brain went to, for my fandom, it would have to be lightweight, the biggest stars in the sport. I mean, previously to when I was really into it, you obviously had the whole BJ Penn thing, who I know is a huge deal for a lot of people. But to have Conor McGregor coming up and giving that weight division so much star power, and then you've also got Khabib, so much star power. Now you got Ilia Topuria, again, star power. Islam Makhachev prior to him. And then you've also, on top of that, got just some of the most exciting, fun fighters you'll ever see. You had Edson Barbosa, you've had Paul Felder, Dan Hooker, Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, Eddie Alvarez, Michael Chandler. Charles Oliveira. Like, you're
Paddy
talking
Pimblett
about
now.
just Paddy Pimblett now. Like, you're just talking about fighters that you're like, stick those two together and it's magic. It's carnage. It's just great technical prowess from some of them. You know, you just got such, and we talked about it the other day when we were talking about Chris Duncan and how, you know, if he was a heavyweight or a light heavyweight right now, he'd probably be ranked in the top 15 or just outside. Right now, he's probably ranked like over 30 or something because the division is so stacked. The division is so good.
And I think that division is so good that BMF is essentially framed around that weight class, isn't it? Because that's where all the baddest motherfuckers are.
Yeah. I mean, previously, Jorge Masvidal was a lightweight before he was a welterweight. Nate Diaz was a lightweight before he was a welterweight. You know, that all these guys, just such big names and big stars and exciting fighters. For me, it has to be lightweight. But you could also give a shout out to light heavyweight from the days of like Tito Ortiz, Chuck Liddell, Rampage, John Jones, Shogun Hua, Lyoto Machida. Like some of these guys, Anderson Silva obviously was middleweight, but he stepped up every now and again. Daniel Cormier. You've got some phenomenal fighters up at light heavyweight as well that have done really, really well. And they were kind of the kind of banner division of the UFC back in like the kind of earlier noughties and stuff like that. Next question. Harkness Ben. This actually stumped me for a while. I struggled with this a little bit. How would you guys matchmake the welterweight division with all the possible contenders that are next in line? Who should fight up and who should fight down? Who's next for a title shot after Makhachev? So this took me a while. Like I'd like to have MVP involved, but he's now at middleweight as far as I'm concerned. He's doing his bits there, so I haven't included him. Colby and Burns should be fighting either unranked guys or Bonfim or someone like that. And I'm not including fun fights like Masvidal in this. And I'm trying to avoid rematches as much as possible. That's like my caveats for this that I'm doing. You don't have to. But obviously we've got Islam's fighting JDM. Prates is fighting Jeff Neal. They're already booked. Outside of that, I actually did two options because I was unsure how to book these fighters. But what I've gone with in the end is I feel like Shavkat's done enough.
Oh, 100%.
He was booked to fight for the belt. Bilal got injured. He fought Ian Gary. Like, the guy's done enough. So 19-0, 7-fight win streak, 6 finishes. As I say, already been booked to fight for the belt. It's just things haven't panned out because one person's injured or he was injured or whatever. So he needs to just be the next guy up for the winner of Islam JDM. Then I think you do Kamaru Usman versus Sean Brady. I sort of want to see the old guys against the young guys a lot in this. And I want to see Sean Brady, who again, you could argue Sean Brady's done enough. But I think he needs to fight Kamaru Usman. Then Bilal will take on Ian Gary. And then Leon, and I hate to say this, Leon's got to fight Michael Morales. I don't like it for Leon, but I just don't know how else to. There's other ways you could book it, but that's what I've landed on. What about you?
When you said that, the thing that was the overriding thing for me is like, right, what is there for Leon? I think Ian Gary versus Bilal makes sense, and yeah, I've long been championing Ian Gary. I thought he put in a fantastic fight against Shavkat. No one wanted that. No one wanted that fight, and he's like, yeah, let's do it, and put in a solid performance. And I think humanised Shavkat. I think up until then, people were terrified of Shavkat. Don't get me wrong, he's phenomenal, but I think Ian Gary almost highlighted that, he is beatable. Like, no one is the perfect fighter. Usman versus Sean Brady, great shout. Like, and I think Brady needs one more before he's in the thick of things. But I think a lot of it depends on what happens with Makachev and JDM. And if JDM wins, does Makachev go back down? I don't know. Is he going to be?
I think JDM. I think if Makachev wins, he's staying up there. If
Makachev loses,
right.
Does he go back down? I don't know. But I think so much of that will sort of play out there. Morales, I mean, again, I don't think many people want that heat, but I think, unfortunately, in that division, like, no one is ever going to want to watch Bilal versus Leon Edwards ever again, right? Because that's just not a fun fight, and they're two fighters that do not, have huge kind of not profile stock, I guess, in regards to selling fights. Like, Leon's a pretty quiet dude, and the Usman fighter side hasn't really got a huge showcase of devastating finishes. And I'm not hating on Leon, but I just think he's in a bit of a spot at the moment. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of British fans are not super excited to see him fight anytime soon. I think, it's like, oh, Leon's fighting. All right, cool. Like, I don't think when he beat Usman, like the everything that was going to come after that was like, right, we're on board here. But everything that happened after that was not overly exciting. And that's not me hating on Leon. I'm just saying how I saw it as a fan.
Yep.
And I think that's put him in a position where Ian Gary lost against Shavkat, but people are going to be so excited. Ian Gary's stock went up after that fight. I think people are really excited to see what's going to happen to Ian Gary, because a lot of people really don't like Ian Gary. So a lot of people are tuning in because they want to see him get his arse handed to him. And a lot of people like us love watching him fight because we're big fans. So I think, he's got excitement over him because he's always in fun fights. And, Shavkat. So I think Morales, he's going to be what's next for Leon. And I don't think that's a good matchup for Leon, but maybe that's what he needs. Maybe he needs a killer that he's working his way up, that hasn't fought anyone of the level of Leon Edwards' fight IQ, where Leon just goes, right, just remember who I am. You might be forgetting about me and writing me off as like, I'm the former champ, and I'm about to serve you up something here, and then hopefully that reignites, a lot of interest and hype around Leon Edwards, because we all know, his fight IQ and his, and his stand up and his takedown defense, he's fantastic. So yeah, I think that is going to be the fight, and I hope that Leon does something spectacular in it.
Fair enough. We are over the hour mark, so maybe we'll just try and rattle through these last questions. Maximilian_Hackney. If Tom loses to Garn, what's next for both fighters, and what do you think the overall view on Tom would be after having to put up with John, etc., if he does lose?
If Tom loses, I think, and Cyril Gane becomes a champ, then essentially the UFC are not going to want Cyril Gane to be champ for long because he's boring. And I think Tom's the most exciting fighter in that division, so they will make things happen very quickly to get him back where he belongs. I
would agree with that. JWL.21. What do you think about the recent cause for concern that UFC is fading due to the lack of superstars compared to the eras previously, and the fact that Dana refuses to promote them as such? Well, I'd say that for the UFC, we've kind of covered this already. They're not fading really in terms of like numbers. In terms of fan interest, I mentioned like my brother being less interested. I think people are like that. People are getting less interested at points. But in terms of their numbers, they are breaking records for their gates. So whenever people go and watch the UFC in these random states in America, they're breaking gate records. So the UFC shareholders and the UFC brass are going, we're making more money than ever. This is fantastic. They've got TV rights deals coming up that people are talking about is going to be in the billions to move their product over to Netflix or re-sign with ESPN or whatever it is. So again, just for the UFC brass and the people making decisions, they don't care, because the UFC brand is such a star in itself now that they can say, we're putting on a show in Manchester or Birmingham or London or anywhere in the world, basically. And all the fans in that area, if they're hardcore fans, they might look at it and go, oh, well, it's not a great card, so I won't bother. But people that work in local businesses with money to spare because the tickets are so expensive will just go, oh, let's grab 10 tickets down at whatever after we go and do our stockbroking, and we'll go and just go and watch the fights, even though we don't know most of the people on it because we're not hardcore fans. But I just want to go and see some people fight at UFC's a start. We're going to go to a UFC event. That's like a once in a lifetime thing, isn't it? And they'll pay big money and go and watch the UFC. And then the TV rights companies or TV streamers, whatever it is, are going to offer them billions for the right to show UFC, because all the streamers now want to get into live sport, because maybe that's the way the world's going. I mean, I don't want to start hopping on my soapbox about AI and how it's going to be so damaging for writers and actors and all this stuff, but it really is going to take a lot of jobs. I'm seeing more and more stuff where the AI is scary for people in the acting industry. Live sport is the thing where you go, or maybe that's safe, because you're not going to overtake live sport with AI right now necessarily. Whereas you can overtake actors and fictional kind of scripted dramas or whatever, probably maybe in the next 10, 15 years, maybe that will happen. So maybe that is why all the streamers are getting into live sports, and they're really fighting each other for the content. So the UFC don't need to create stars. They are the star. They are making record revenue money. As we said, in the last 10 years, they've gone up in valuation by 10 billion. So, they just don't need to worry about it.
Can I add to that? Because to go back to the stars of yesteryear, I'm presuming he's talking about your Anderson Silvas and your Conor McGregors and even more recently, Francis Ngannou and Kane, all of these people that we've been speaking about today. What I think people do, you talk about that 5-year kind of period of becoming a UFC fan and getting bored of it. When people start getting into UFC, I mentioned Renan Barão earlier, right? So when I first started watching the UFC, it was around the time of Randy and Chuck and then basically Renan Barão come along. And it was the most exciting thing to see, because it looked like he was unbeatable, right? And so what happens is it creates these stars. And it's like when if you go back to a nightclub that you went to when you was 18, when you're 25, you want it to be the same. You want to hear the songs that you used to hear because it means so much to you. But things evolve. So, in 5 years' time, them kids that are going there now, they're going, oh my God, this is the best music ever. And it's the same when you get in the UFC, that all of a sudden you're absolutely loving what you're being served up now because it's new to you. And so I think for me, if you was somebody that had decided you was going to, pay for the UFC, and all of a sudden you get to watch Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje. You get to watch Max Holloway. You get to watch Ilia Topuria, and you're getting to watch Tom Aspinall. They're, O'Malley and Marab. These are superstars putting on super fun fights. And I just think a lot of people always go, no, but back in the day. But back in the day is very much every single person's back in the day. It's not like, well, this was the point. They've not had superstars since then, because everybody always looks back to their kind of introduction to it and their formative years of being a follower of the sport. So I think that's very subjective, and I think that if you're getting into the UFC now, you're seeing the best production. You're getting to see Pereira and all the other people I've just mentioned. Like, I think you're in a real sweet spot right now, and I think there's superstars in there. Pereira's a superstar.
Fair enough. Last question. I think we're going to have to wrap this up. Mangaleshan, pick your top 3 fantasy fights between old gen and new within reason. Like, for me, one is Barboza versus McGregor. I think that's a great shout. or Wonder Boy versus Whitaker in like 2018 as a rematch. So old gen versus new gen fights. The first one that jumps out to me immediately is I want to see DJ versus Pantoja.
Mm-hmm. Great shout.
Have you got one, or should I throw in mine?
I'm definitely going to throw in. I said it. I think I might have mentioned it on the last Q&A. Cain Velasquez versus Tom Aspinall. I'd love to see that. Absolutely love to see that.
I had Tom v Francis or Jones. I don't know if that counts as old gen really with Jones or whatever, but either Francis or Jones versus Tom, because you just got to have that fight. Mm-hmm. One more from you.
Go on, throw another one in. I'm just going to think.
What about Khabib versus Islam? I know it's like a fight that would never actually happen, but that's what we're dealing with. Khabib versus Islam. I want to see how that would go.
At middleweight, Anderson Silva versus MVP.
Oh, interesting.
I think that could be fun.
All right. Well, there you go. Unless you've got any more, I think we're done.
We're done. Thanks so much. We got 2 episodes out of your generosity and time submitting questions. So thank you so much for that. We don't even know when this episode's coming out. So there shouldn't have been anything too time sensitive in today's chat. So this might be out in a few weeks. So us constantly saying all the ridiculous things Blake said 24 hours ago will make no sense whatsoever. But yeah, we'll be back. We'll be back next week. And thanks ever so much. Go over to YouTube, click subscribe, drop in there your favourite sandwich crisp combinations, and if that's not enough to fill your little bellies, head over to Fat Candy and use that discount code SWEETMMA, and we will see you next time.
Bye, guys.